Well, hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome to all of my very dear female career changing friends. How are you? It's Nancy Fox, the Business Fox. I'm so glad to be with you. Happy Monday. I hope you had a great weekend and are ready to rock and roll this this week. Um, and you guys have been awesome in sending me lots of different messages. We have a growing community. Thank you so much for supporting this community and growing with us. We've got lots of really amazing new members to be with us, and there's a lot of, so many of you have shared with me that you are yearning for a more purpose-filled career where you're feeling like you're making a difference, where you're feeling more joy, making more money, having a better quality of life, and a deeper sense of connectedness and alignment with who you are and what you want to be doing next in your life. And I completely get that. It is so doable, and yet it seems so distant, right? Like it's just something you really, really want. How do you get there? It seems so, conceptually you love the idea of it, but it just seems very challenging in terms of getting there. There are a lot of steps between where you are and where you want to go. I completely understand. I was there too. Many of you have some very high-powered and very highly accomplished positions and roles in your current life, and yet it seems to have an elusiveness for you about what's next for you and how to get there. Some of you are going find the next job route, and you're finding that to be incredibly frustrating and disappointing, because at this point in your life, you know that you deserve to have a very responsible, very high-level position, but it just doesn't seem to be the job opportunities are as plentiful as they were the last time you were out in the market, and I get that. It's different after the age of 50. Today, ageism is rampant. Companies have a very different mindset about building an employee base. It's all about headcount and numbers, and it's not about quality of experience and expertise, except in the most technical of roles. I mean, those are some exceptions, but for the most part, they're really looking for young, energetic, lower ticket people to fulfill those roles, to fill those roles, and train them the way they want. And even when people are not performing at the highest quality levels that they need and want, they're willing to sacrifice that. So I really believe that at this point of your life, you deserve and should have a very strong plan B while you're still working, and really work on that. And the best opportunity for you, really, in terms of what you're able to create for yourself, the kind of freedom that you want, the flexibility that you want, and the autonomy that you want, is going to be found most in going off on your own and starting your own business. I know not everybody is suited to that. I know that it's a leap of faith and a leap of many other things. However, everything today is a leap of faith. There's no certainty anywhere, especially in the job market. So I really think from a logical viewpoint, and even an illogical viewpoint, and given who you guys are, you're awesome, and you really have the opportunity to really create your plan B and turn it into your plan A on your own timing, and especially while you're still working. It's a great strategy, and I really recommend that to all of my colleagues, and certainly all of my students. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit. Some of you know me and some of you do not know me. I'm Nancy Fox, and I've been in my own business for the last 21 years almost next month. And I've been coaching since I left my corporate career. I was a vice president in multiple corporations in charge of marketing and product development, and I had a very successful career until two things happened. One, my industry changed, and two, I no longer felt interested in what I was doing anymore. So on one hand, there was a part of me that was sort of finished with what I was doing, and I was unhappy and unfulfilled. And logically, but I needed a job, right? I needed to have a paycheck. But the other part of me said, no, there's got to be more. I need more. I want more. And I certainly want more autonomy. I want more flexibility. And at the time, the internet wasn't quite as developed as it is today. So we're very fortunate. We've got lots of opportunities today. But very fortunately, I had an epiphany both an epiphany was handed to me because my company closed my division, and I also was aware of an epiphany that I chose to embrace. So it was both. Like when I lost my job, I said, that's it. I'm never going to work for anybody again. I'm going off on my own. And I believed it. I knew that it was the right move. I just didn't know how to do it, and I didn't know what to do. And very fortunately, I knew I needed really good mentorship. So I was wise enough to get that. And because I knew building a business for other people is not the same as building one for yourself. And even though I was not a born entrepreneur, I chose to be that, and I learned it. And I know that where there's a will, there's a way for everybody that really wants it. It takes some qualities and some mindset decisions, no question. And it definitely took a complete mindset overhaul for me. Because being an employee, even at the executive level, is not the same thing as being on your own. And it takes a lot of mindset work. But truthfully, it takes a lot of mindset reworking in today's job market as well. And that's one of the things I really want to talk about in today's session, because many of you are experiencing what I call persistent, consistent, repetitive success blocks. So what is a success block? A success block is something that shows up where you start to see a pattern of things happening. Like you will start a project, and at a very similar point along the way, you start to feel uncomfortable, nervous, self-doubting, your confidence wanes, and you start to want to look at the next bright, shiny object so you can go on to the next thing, and you don't finish what you've started. Or you make a certain amount of money, and then immediately, as soon as you make a certain amount of money, something happens to bring you back to an earlier level of earning, and you have to start, and you feel like you've taken one step forward and two steps back. Or you have a similar pattern of kinds of communications with people in your professional life. You attract the same kinds of bosses or the same kinds of coworkers, and you seem to find yourself in repetitive situations, or you find yourself getting in your own way, setting yourself up for disappointment or failure in similar ways by putting yourself in similar situations, like you put other people's needs before yourself. Most often, you find yourself being, your energy level is depleted because you're in toxic relationships at work or at home or both. These are repetitive kinds of situations. And there are, in my experience, there are 5 primary success block patterns, and that the sources of patterns. And, I've talked a lot about this, and I really think that very often, most people try to address the challenges, the disappointments, the quote-unquote failures in their business life or in their careers, but whether it be business or career or both, or even personal, they tend to try to logic themselves out of these issues. And it really cannot be done, because your issues are really not happening at the conscious level. You're experiencing them on the conscious level, but the causes, those are just the symptoms. The real problems are being generated at the unconscious level, at the part of the brain that is the most controlling part of your brain, but you have no mastery over, because you're not even aware that it's the subconscious part of your brain that's driving you into behaving and thinking the same old way, and therefore attracting the same situations into your life. So today there are 5 of them, 5 primary success blocks. And so the sources of these, there are common scenarios, like where it's things that you're procrastinating, or you are take notice of this. If you're constantly late, or you're constantly getting a lot of colds, or you're finding yourself in the same arguments with the same or different people in your lives. You find yourself being attracted to situations that are continually destructive for you and stop you from having success. So there are common symptoms and examples of how these show up in your life, but there are 5 primary sources of things that actually are the core, what you really need to lance in terms of your success blocks. So the source of the first success blocks source is where you are actually being driven by very, very old, ancient messages of the past that were formed in your very, very early part of your life, formative messages from mother, from father, from family members, and from significant early childhood influencers in your life. Ancient messages is number one. Number two, you'll be in performance anxiety, fear of failure. Very common kind of, this is where performance and attempting new things and fear of failure became a very core theme in your life and stopped you from having certain things. You know, some people are, for example, if you never learned to ride a bicycle, never learned to swim, never went for a bigger job, never took a certain kind of, went to a certain kind of school because you were afraid of failure, never took on new roles at work, fear of failure. These are very, very common, and the source of the source of a success block is in that performance anxiety, fear of failure. You know, it's just sort of it's like a syndrome that starts very early in life. It starts, all of these are very, very early sources. Okay, the third one is imposter syndrome, the fear of being found out. Like, you know, maybe you take a certain step forward, you make an attempt at going forward and growing and elevating yourself, and then and then you only get to a certain point where people start to ask you to prove yourself to the world, and you go, uh-oh, I can't, because I'm just really, you know, I don't really have proof that I'm really who I say I am. So you back away. So imposter syndrome is very, very predominant, and it's very, it's destructive, and it can be very pervasive. And it's just really about feeling like any success you've had in life is an accident and a fluke, and that it's never going to be in your toolkit to replicate it. And that is pervasive. It's especially predominant in women, because women have been taught so socially to prove themselves. Okay, the fourth one is, I'm just looking at my, oh yes, the fourth one is the one I really want to cover today, and that's about not deserving, not being able to receive. It's a huge one. And somewhere the early message is, you don't need it, you don't deserve it, it's not for you, it's for other people. And it comes from, it can come from a very early decision that you made, from something that you heard from, it could be something that your parents said to each other, it could be something they said to you, something that a sibling said to you, a teacher said to you. Somehow you got the message that you're not, that other people deserve, but you don't, and you bought into it. So that's another core success block, and I want to dig into that a little bit more today. And then the fifth one is sort of like an ancillary one, but it's so common, and that's where a core success block is when a physical ailment, an illness, or an accident, or other people's accidents and illnesses take you off your game and stop you from moving forward. And this is very evident in people who are yearning to succeed. It can be, you can see it in pro athletes, or any athlete actually, where they get to a certain level of success and then they have an accident or a mishap, or someone in their life has an accident or an illness, and they're taken off their game and they're completely distracted. I can't tell you how many of my students embark on a bigger path of success. They launch themselves to play on a higher field, and as soon as they do that, they get sick. They get an infection, they get a cold, they get a more serious disease, or someone in their life very close to them has an accident or an illness, and they are so in the success block mode that they focus on that and take themselves off their own path of success. These are very, very common. Those are the top 5. So you probably are seeing yourself in one or several of these, and it's important to recognize that these success blocks, there is really a way out. There is a way to get beyond them, but Problem is most people try to tactically, strategically, or logically address these success blocks and don't realize that these patterns are formed not at the conscious level, they are formed at the subconscious level. Your subconscious is built to do one thing, is to keep you safe, is to keep you in motion in what it already knows, not in building a new future without any proof or any evidence or any belief that the safety is going to be there for you. It's a survival mechanism, not a thrival mechanism. So today I want to talk to you about how you can thrive and get beyond the number one success block, which is really the most common one, is people want to create results, but underneath, without even realizing it, you're set up to be unable to receive. So you can see this a lot in mothers and dads who put their children before themselves. So they're unable to receive. They want their children to receive, but they themselves are not able to receive for themselves, which is why on airplanes they remind parents to put your air mask on yourself first before your child. The tendency is to want to give to the significant others in your life and not to yourself, because you're unable. You want results, you want to make more money, you want to be successful, you want a promotion, or you want to build your own business, you want visibility, you want celebrity, you want success and results, but the but is the key here, but somehow you're unable to actually make it happen. And that's because your subconscious is set up. You already have a pre-programmed tape within you saying, I don't deserve it, I don't deserve it, I don't deserve it, I don't deserve it, it's not for me, it's for others, but it's not really meant for me. I'm not the one that's really, it's not so bad for me, I can handle it, it's okay, it's good enough the way it is. These are all versions of your complete dysfunctional setup to not receive. And most people we've been taught how to give. How many of us have actually taken lessons and gotten real instruction and mentoring in how to be a good receiver? Most people can't even receive a compliment. Think about the last compliment you received and what you did with it. You probably poo-pooed it and deflected it. And you didn't really absorb it and take it in and revel in it and say, thank you, I really appreciate that. It was hard. It was really hard because you're not set up to receive. And until you have a breakthrough in how to be able to break through the core of your success block, which is rooted in your subconscious mind, you're going to be unable to be, you can say to yourself, oh, well, I should learn how to receive. I'll just start to receive. It doesn't work that way, because you will find some default mechanism that's going to be unconsciously set up for you to prevent you from actually receiving. You might receive for a little while, and then something's going to happen, and you will revert back to the old way until you actually have a mindset reset. You've got to have a mindset reset or a reboot in order to be able to do that. And the reboot has to happen at the subconscious level. How do you do that if you don't even know what your subconscious is up to? Well, how do you get mastery over your subconscious? Well, that's the key. Until you recognize how to get access to your subconscious mind, you can't teach it something new. And most people never learn how to access their subconscious mind. We can meditate up the wazoo. We could visualize up the wazoo. Most of you if you're doing any meditation or visualization, it's still not accessing the deepest source of your subconscious mind. That's why many of you tell me you can't even visualize a better future for yourself, because your subconscious mind prevents you from actually being able to see and believe a new future is available to you. And if you don't believe it's available to you, but it's available for other people, you're clearly not capable of receiving. The way out, the fix, the mindset fix, has to happen at the subconscious level. And most people, you can be in therapy for a year, 5 years, 10 years, and you're still going to be in the same situation. And as a trained psychologist, I know this because so many people are sitting in therapy talking about the same problems for more than 10 years. Why is that? If talk therapy really, really works, why are people still feeling the same feelings about the same issues for more than a few months? Why are they going back into therapy and you're talking about little baby steps of progress, and it's so much better, but it's not really solving the real major issue. If the main results are not significantly different after a number of weeks or even 90 days, you really need to get that this is not at the conscious level, that it's a subconscious situation. And until you learn how to have a breakthrough in your success block at the subconscious level, you can't have the results that you want. Now, you can talk yourself out of wanting the results, which is another success block, which is, I don't deserve it, it's not so bad, and saying it's, it's really an old tape playing, probably one of the other sources of success blocks, and you're not going to have the results. So for those of you who are yearning for a successful career change, you're not going to have the results that you really want unless you get at the source of the deep, deep, deep subconscious success blocks of which have been set up and you've been dragging around for years. Now, I'm really clear about this because I've been working with very successful, high power, high achieving people for a very, very long time, for 2 decades. And so I finally realized that tactically people understand what to do. Strategically, they understand how to design what they should be doing. But where they don't do it is because they can talk about all the feelings and all the reasons, but the source of the problem is at the subconscious level. And I'm saying this to you so that you recognize that until you get at the subconscious, you're going to keep having the repetitive patterns that are holding you back. You're stopping yourself. You're getting in your own way. And we say this, we're getting in our own way because it's your subconscious. You got to access it, and you never learned how to do it. But I would love to share with you the ways that you can do it if you want to learn. Now, it's not like it's simple but not easy, right? Simple but not easy. But what you don't know is what you don't know. And that's why if you're really, really struggling and you see that you're in the same pattern over and over and you're fed up with under-earning, having disrespect, toxic relationships at work or at home, and you see there's a pattern, if you have been unable to stand up for yourself, if you've been being passed over for opportunities left and right, if your clients if let's say you do have clients already, you've started a business and it's not working as well, your clients aren't paying, or you're not making enough money, and you're worth more, if you're losing clients, it's time to break through these patterns. And definitely I want to invite you to a very special conversation with me where I'm going to help you see where your roadblocks really are, where your success blocks truly are, not what you think, not on the logical level, but on the subconscious level. So how do you do that? Well, this is a complimentary invitation that I'm extending to only the people in my private Facebook group for the female career changers over 50. And it's just for you guys. If you are really ready, willing, and able to have a breakthrough in a success block that's been driving you nuts and killing off opportunity and success for you year after year, and you know that you're done with it and you're fed up and you don't want to repeat 2020 in the same way and beyond, then book a call with me. It's complimentary. There are no strings, but it's going to be life-changing. And all you have to do is go to www.thebusinessfox.com/book a call. We'll get on the phone. I will call you. We're going to have a very cogent conversation. We will identify which success block or blocks have been the source of the issues in your career, your life, whatever. And we're going to talk about what a roadmap out of that would look like for you, okay? But you're going to get to the truth, not just trying to get in your own. If you're in your logical thinking brain, you're in a bad neighborhood because it's set up to keep you stuck and sort of in quicksand. And if you are seeing the same pattern over and over, it's time to lance it and to reboot, right? You ready to reboot? Give me a call, www.thebusinessfox.com, book a call, and it's going to be life-altering for you, I promise. Okay, all right, you guys, that's enough out of me, and I love you. I want to see you have the most beautiful, awesome, fulfilling, prosperous, purpose-filled careers, and you deserve them. And it's time, because life is not a dress rehearsal, especially after 50, all right? All right, you guys, I'll post the link again. But definitely leave me some feedback about what you learned today, and what resonated with you. And I'll see you next week. All right, take care, you guys. Bye-bye. Nancy Fox, The Business Fox, www.thebusinessfox.com/book a call. Bye-bye.